What's up, YouTube? I am here with some really great news. I was sitting on my couch yesterday and I realized that it's freaking spring, y'all. And because it is spring, it means that I have officially made it through my first winter in 9 years without a depressive episode, which I think is like fucking amazing. Like, we did it, or I did it, or like we did it together. I don't know. So 9 years. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, I have had struggled with depression for 9 years, considering that like I am 23, and that's nearly like half of my life. Like, not exactly half, but it's close to it. For almost half of my life, I have been experienced like severe depression at times, and like have literally not even known like if I would make it this far. I think that was a big thing I was struggling with in the fall after graduation, like from college. I was just like, so now what? I mean, like I had plans moving to Atlanta and I have my job, but it was kind of just like, like I didn't even realize that life is long. Like it's short, but it's like long as fuck. And I didn't even realize that I hadn't planned it this far, and I'm a big planner, but I just like didn't see this coming, which is kind of sad to think about. A big thing I've noticed is a huge pattern since seventh grade, which I didn't even realize what depression was in seventh grade. I was diagnosed, I think, at the end of seventh grade with like depression and ADHD. And I just remember thinking like I had this hazy feeling. It wasn't like, oh, I'm depressed, like I want to kill myself. It was more just like, bro, life sucks, and like this is just like not fun anymore. And I always felt like I was just like a burden on the world, and I was just like, life would be better if I was not here. And I had always thought that, like I remember telling my therapist, as I've told y'all, like I wish I was not alive, or it'd be better if I wasn't born. Like I remember saying that when I was 6 years old, but it wasn't until like seventh grade that it was just like, this is something that like I realized that maybe I can control, which is like not a good thought. And then eighth grade definitely felt like, that suicidal ideation coming in. But really since then, every single year I quantify things within like grades, because that's how I think about life. So basically since that time, I've experienced almost like a roller coaster each year, of just like depressive episodes. I think basically every winter, to varying degrees, I have been depressed. Obviously in seventh grade, I don't think it was super severe, but I had sort of started like feeling those feelings. But like after seventh grade, the severity of them, like it changed. So like freshman year, I remember having a brief like depressive episode, but I got on medicine. Sophomore year, it was really bad. I lost my mother. I wasn't really connecting. I kind of stuffed those feelings down, and that like wasn't great. And then junior year, things were great. Things were like amazing. I'm almost positive that I was manic. I was joining like every single club, taking like 6 AP classes, like was trying to do everything in debate, was like definitely like on my ADHD medicine, and I was probably feeling it, just not knowing that I had bipolar disorder. But yeah, and then the crash my senior year, crashed down senior year in the winter. So like there's a pattern of me being depressed every winter, and obviously that's part of like I guess my seasonal affective disorder, but I think it also points to the fact that like maybe my bipolar disorder was just like here much longer than I thought it was. I'm confident that I can point to my first manic episode like that I know of, for sure being like my freshman year, when I came in to college and I was doing like all those college things. Definitely did not help, but I was definitely manic, and that's what brought me out of my depression. Like I was able to work on a lot of things into my senior year, because I was in sort of a deep depression. I was in a partial hospitalization program, and I was able to work on a lot of things, but it wasn't like those were the things that like lifted me out of my depression. So it's kind of nice that now I feel like, it's really me. I'm working on it, like, and it's really my skills that have like, got us this far. I deserve an award. But like on other years, for example, I guess like my sophomore year of college, things, well, I was manic as fuck, sort of in the winter, but it was like I wasn't like super depressed. I did get depressed in the winter, but it was like a shallow depression, and I think it only lasted for like 3 weeks or a month, because after that I went like way up there. I was abroad and I was traveling, and that was crazy. And it was at those times when I had sort of like a shallow depression, or a depression that only lasted like a few weeks or like a month. I always thought of that as being like, oh, this is like a good winter. So the fact that like this winter, it's like, it's very strange. Like, I look at my mood calendar that I track things, and I just like really haven't had, not that you need a reason to be depressed, or that like I've had reasons to be depressed in the past. Sometimes I just am depressed. It's just like kind of interesting to think about, like, okay, like why am I not depressed now? Like I know I've been working on things, but like I don't know. I feel like I'm still struggling so much in like my life in general every day. I obviously make it look good, and I'm used to dealing with it, and things are like, I promise you, are good. But things aren't like great or perfect, and maybe like this is just how they progress. But the fact that it took 9 years to get here, and that like this doesn't guarantee that like I won't have to deal with depression ever again. It's literally only been, it's been a minute actually. Yeah, it's been almost been like a year since I've had like a deep depression. So that's decent, I think. It's interesting to look back on your past and really track like how you were feeling on your worst times. So like I can clearly see that like, okay, my depression happens a lot in the winter. And it's probably because I grew up in Chicago and there's no sun and it's cold until like May. And my mood got a lot better when I moved down south. Not just because of the weather, because I was working on things, I was getting older. But the weather is also nicer, so my depression wasn't like as bad. It was still there, but it's really nice to like be able to like line up behaviors with like your moods, and I think that really really helps me. Like when I can point to the times when I was like super manic, it was when I was either going overboard on like substances, or I was like traveling abroad. It's like all they're very clear behaviors that were like, okay, I was manic, and now it's like, okay, I'm doing really good, I'm feeling really great. I don't consider myself to be manic. I do have had times where like I do go up, but it's like for the day, and like it's like not really like a full blown episode. So I think that's helped me a lot in trying to like secure my wellness. Not that I have secured my wellness at all, but I'm getting there back on track, which is the important thing. So if you're out there right now and you're watching this and you're just like, I don't care what you're saying, like I am depressed as shit, this quarantine sucks, everyone hates me, like I can't get out, like this feeling, you're just like so low, this feeling is never going to go away, you like just want to end it all right now. I feel you, and I've been there. I promise you I've been there. And I remember like when I was 18, like I say it like it was such a long time ago, but I remember like my senior year of high school, I remember being in my partial program and people, like adults, full-blown adults, even now in my peer group, like I'm an adult, but like, you know what I mean? Like people in their 40s are like, yeah, like I've been struggling with this since my teenage years and this sucks, and like I just don't know what to do. Or I've had people say like, oh, in their 50s or 40s, they're like, oh, things get much better, and I've like, it took time, but I am much better now. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to wait till I'm 40. Like it just doesn't sound good. And I know that like when people try to make you feel better, it's just like it helps a little bit, but it's like, no, bruh, like I'm struggling, see me. And I do see you. And I think, not to sugarcoat anything, like yes, you should be seeing a therapist, seeing a psychiatrist, doing all of the work you need to do. But what got me through my deepest depressions, like wasn't any of that like crap about like exercising and going out. Like you should do that, yes. But mentally, like what got me through it was that like, okay, this literally cannot be like the worst thing ever. Like if I just suffer now, like I'm going to suffer, but I will get out of this, and it's going to suck, but like imagine when things are so much better. Like think to your life, think about like the best times in your life, and don't say like, oh, I've never had any best times in my life. Like some of my best times in my life was when I was with my birth mom, and like she would buy me like a candy bar from like the corner store, and we'd watch movies when I was a kid. That's very like, I was very happy then. Or like when she would cook for me, and I think back to just like life's best moments when I was genuinely happy, or I genuinely smiled. I'm like, okay, so it is possible to feel that way. So like, how do we just make sure that we feel that way all the time? And you hold on to that like little thin hair of like hope that like things will get better. Because that's all you really can do. I mean, again, I say like, I'm not saying that like, you can't work on things, you shouldn't see your therapist, you should just wait it out. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like, from a person who's been to therapy since I was 4, been like on so many drugs, and like have been like out in those deepest depths, like it's great when you hear these stories like, oh yeah, like I've worked on myself and like things are great, and like here I am, you can do it. I don't think that's all that times like beneficial. It's also good to hear that like shit sucks, and I understand shit sucks and it is gonna suck. But like it has to get better, otherwise it doesn't. So you just have to make it better. And I'm here for y'all if you guys want to reach out. But yeah,